Hey everyone, Toxic Roach here, and I'm about to show you what I've been working on for the past couple months now. It's been a massive project. It's taken up most of my free time. Here it is. It's a castle. Now I know a lot of you thinking like, oh no, he built another one. And yeah, I did. Shut up. And I know it doesn't look very big, but there's a lot more to this castle than meets the eye. As you can see, my game is having trouble actually rendering how much stuff is in there right now. This castle is huge. It is fully furnished. All the rooms are filled. It has, it got 19 rooms, including the 4 penthouses that I built for my friends. It's got a billiards room, a greenhouse. It's got a theater, a couple main entrances, a huge kitchen, and oh yeah, and a huge basement, which is actually made from a converted end dungeon. Now, how I came about this was actually pretty cool. And I'm kind of gonna go through the process on how I built it, and then I will give you a tour. Yeah, okay, so this all very started with one simple dream, and that was to find my end dungeon. Now, I had worked in this world for a little while, and I just spent it primarily strip mining and gaining lots of materials. And I gained a lot. I had a lot of materials and nothing to build. And it was kind of driving me nuts. So I did what I got prepared for a long mission, and I was like, I'm going to go find the end dungeon, wherever that is. I was prepared to be walking for a long time. Turns out it had already been spawned in an area very close to my original house. And so I got very lucky in that regard. So I found it, and I started to explore it, but I never really knew how big it was, and I kept getting lost there. So I was like, I'm going to figure out how big this is. And I keep in mind, this is in vanilla Minecraft and in survival. I took some of my materials, my diamonds, my experience, my iron, and I just started digging. I'm going to dig this whole thing out. I just want to see how big it is. And so I did. This is, you can kind of see where I started in that room right there is the end portal where the Eyes of Ender take you. And I started just digging. I kept digging down, and then I realized that it didn't put me in the very center of the dungeon. It put me right where the end portal was. So I'd have to start pushing the walls out. And that's what I did. I started digging the walls out, and I'd usually go about, I take the walls back a little bit, maybe like 4 or 5 blocks a piece, and I just take that whole wall down at a time. And every now and then I just take a screenshot. You can kind of see it getting bigger. This is where I got a little lower, and I keep finding more. And again, this is all in survival. So every time my inventory would get full of cobble, I'd come upstairs and load a chest with it. And the chests started to fill up quick. So I kept working and digging. And this is primarily where a lot of the time came into this build. This took me several weeks to completely dig out, by hand at least. As you can see, it's like here. The wall gets pushed back here, pushed back again, and the floor drops a little bit. This whole wall jumps back. I remember I was like, I'm gonna take a huge chunk out of that, and I dropped it a little bit. Pushed it back a little further, dropped the floor a little lower, pushed the far back walls back a little bit. Kept bringing it down. It kept getting bigger and bigger. I kept finding more and more, and it never stopped. As you can see, there's a section there that's not even connected to the rest of the dungeon. And I just kept pushing the walls back and bringing it down. It's one of my last drops. You see I just cleared it off. And this is where I kind of cut it off at bedrock. So for those who know Minecraft, I am 5 above bedrock right now. That's where it starts. And I didn't find anything lower than that, so that's where I kind of put my limit. But you can see I was just back upstairs, back downstairs, back upstairs, back downstairs. And this took me forever. But then I thought to myself, I gotta make this better. I gotta make this right. And so what I started to do is I started to break some of the stuff down. I popped over. I have to admit, I pulled myself out of survival and started creative. And the primary reason is the mossy cobblestone and the cracked cobblestone bricks are not acquirable within survival Minecraft, only in creative. So I pulled myself out of there. Honestly, I would have stayed in survival had they been acquirable, but they weren't. So I just started working, and I started fixing the dungeon. I turned a lot of those loopy corridors into rooms, and then I bumped up the ceiling because it was all. I bumped it up to 4. I started creating rooms, connecting areas, and making it make sense. I was marking rooms off as storage or whatever I needed, and I started thinking as well, I'm like, what am I going to do with all that stone in the chests upstairs? And that's where I kind of came up with the idea to do a castle. I was like, okay, I'm going to build a structure above this. And it's going to be my home base. And it's going to be sweet, and it's going to be kicking, and it's going to be awesome. And so I went up, and I kind of laid out a pretty much a border where that was going to be, so I knew where my limits were. And you can see I was kind of here. I was connecting the castle with the underground dungeon here and placing it, adding more rooms and connecting more stuff and just cleaning it up. This is another thing I did. A lot of these have to do with storage units. And so what I did is I connected a lot of these rooms together with pipes. Like you can see, and what these pipes are pretty much connected hoppers. I'll throw a video up for here. I'll have a tutorial for that. And right now, some of these are connected to my nether room. Some of these are connected to my item processing center, where I have a room basically just for cookers, and just for cookers. And what it'll do is, if you get to a storage unit, you put some stuff in a minecart, it ships it off to be cooked, and then the pipes carry the cooked product right back to the room. So you don't have to keep a cooker in every single storage room. It was really kind of nice. And it looks kind of cool. And I just kept building and connecting rooms and fixing stuff. You can see that here, like, that was our transfer station. And then the iron blocks over there was the freezer. I did a food storage area. And I just keep connecting and kept building. You can kind of see me building the dungeon here. And I just found ways of connecting it up to the roof. And I would do it over and over again. It just became cooler and cooler and cooler. And here's from the transfer station, all these go to the appropriate rooms, like I said. And it just became really overwhelming and really kind of awesome. And it grew to be an actual physical cool basement dungeon. But then I wasn't done yet. Because now I had to build the castle. You can kind of see right now that the castle itself isn't built. It's I laid out the outline. That's what I was working from the downstairs. And you can see first thing on the agenda was to cook all that cobblestone and turn it into stone bricks. You can see those big cookers back here working on that. And I really did. This was all done back in survival. Because actually one of my friends, Torch Red, if you've watched my channel, you'll know who he is, bet me I didn't have enough stone to build my castle with what I had. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll prove it to you, and I'll build the castle with the stone I mined out. So I knocked out the floor, and I started mapping out rooms. And it all, as I was working, it would just kind of came to me, and it all made sense, and I started marking rooms off, what they were going to be. And it got to the point where every time I finished a room, I would go and I'd take a screenshot. So, for example, just finished the primary entrance, main hall, dining room, gallery, library. I finished the employee quarters, break room, lounge, kitchen, and the ballroom. I don't know if you noticed that. And then I capped it off. Time to do level 2. Bring the walls up, start making room borders, marking off rooms, raising the walls. And that was when I was able to finish the rooms that were 2 levels high. And then I built the music room, the theater, the map room, and the and the rec room. I built a chapel, the greenhouse, and the bathrooms. I just cleaned it up and kept building, and then time for level 3. Now I decided level 3 was going to be where all the living quarters were, all the rooms. Like I said, there are 15 rooms here on this 3rd level. Start marking them off, making them equal size, building up. I built the bathrooms and showers, and you can just see I was just marking them off. I built them pretty much at the same time to make sure they were all the same or relatively similar. I built a pool, and then I capped it off. I built a nice little roof area. Then I built the towers. And I don't know if you noticed, each tower has a logo for me and my 3 other friends. There's mine up here, which is the Toxic Roach logo. I'll show you when I do the walkthrough. Torch Red is over here. Batman 33 is Torch Red's brother, Brian. And this one over here is Blackest Dawn, Torch Red's girlfriend. I topped him off. And boom. You got a spanking new, beautiful castle built over a magnificent dungeon underneath. So yes, this is the final product. A beautiful, huge castle, fully furnished, like I said before. And as I kind of approach this, I come to the conclusion that a full walkthrough would take far too long. So I'm going to put that in another video. But the other thing I did with this is, upon finishing this, I realized I wanted to do something special with it. I wanted to really take a look at it, maybe put it in a better environment, and I really didn't have any means to do that. So I remembered a program that was made way back in the day called MC Edit. I had never had this, so I kind of searched it out. Didn't know if it was still around, but of course it was. Yes. And I found it, I downloaded it, and I took this whole thing and I put it in another level, which I'll show you now. I placed it here, right here in this beautiful forest in this lovely area. Now, this was really easy to do. It took a while I actually had to take it apart into 2 different things. I had to separate the upper part of the castle with the lower dungeon, because the dungeon was much larger than the area. And it would just take a huge chunk of the surrounding landscape, and it would kind of ruin it. So I had to do a couple pieces with it, and it was kind of a pain in the butt, but it came out really well, I think, because not much of the landscape was ruined by it, and with this, it just looks much nicer, I think, than the desert. The end dungeon is still under there. It's still 100% functional. Also with MC Edit, I added a couple of these hedge mages on top. Those were fun. I found a filter for it, and it's just nice little touches that help bring this to its full kind of potential. And like I said, what you're seeing is a little bit of lag, and that's because it's rendering so much. But yeah, I'll post a video to the walkthrough of this castle right here in this forest one, because I've been working in this level more than the past one. So go check that out, but remember to like this video and share it. I'll post any other tutorial videos throughout. If you haven't seen the links, I'll put them back up here at the end for other weird little tutorials. I'm just gonna I'll go over, you know, how I made a lot of the stuff in there and fun stuff like that. So thanks for watching and happy crafting.